I don't want to prove myself to anyone. I just want to come in and let me be, I want you to see who I am through how I speak, how I act, and not be someone I'm not because of what society or what you're comparing yourself wants you to be.
Hi guys, welcome to Response Able with Professor Nikki James. Louder is better.
I think so.
Because then we can yell. I feel like I have a fake loud voice. Because if I actually screamed right now, I would be super loud. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Response Able podcast. To all of those who have been listening in, I want to thank you and also hope that you have found it useful. This week, I'm going to take a little bit more time to introduce my guest. So I was walking through the streets of Amsterdam yesterday, and one of my friends asked me the question via text message, who selects the topics of your podcast? And I responded, well, I do. Why? Do you have any suggestions or feedback? And after asking for feedback, one of the things that he did say is that the topic choices were whimsy at best. So for me, I'm going to try this week and beyond to provide a little bit more context, because through that discussion, I realized I have an intention for why I am having the conversations that I'm having and the people that I'm selecting to have conversations with. But I guess taking a little bit more time to share with you the story and the why behind the interview itself and also what we talk about. So last week we heard from Niraj. So part of the conversation with Niraj was motivated by my students who have now graduated, a bunch of them. So congratulations to all you guys who have graduated. And understanding how overwhelming and exciting and terrifying it can be transitioning from university into the world. And right now, where we are in a season where the ability to find a job post-graduation is a little bit more insecure, or the pathways are a little bit more indirect, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And the processes and the systems that we've used before to get a job post-graduation aren't necessarily working the same. So that is what I am seeing and hearing through all the conversations that I'm having. So sharing Niraj's story last week, the idea of that was to get his wisdom or to hear his journey, to see that it was a little bit different. But there were some amazing lessons to learn along the way that he was able to share, but also that it does work out, even though it feels like it isn't working out. And I also really loved how his journey ended up being very community-minded and community-orientated. And I honestly I was so excited when I got the email that said he had found a position, because I'd been a part of that journey with him. So that was the reason behind that podcast. And the same this week. I think the situation is still the same. Students have just graduated. And I think I can sit here and think back to 20 years ago when I graduated and try and provide some wisdom and advice. But I really think that it's those that have lived through that season in a lot shorter time period. So it's only been 2 years for Niraj and this 3 years for this podcast for today. So I feel like that their stories are a little bit more similar to the situations that my students and recent graduates are going to go through. And their stories are just really cool because they're young people living life and going after their dreams, whatever that looks like for them, and being a little bit unsure, but knowing that it's a journey and it's a process and it's not about the destination or getting there straight away, which I think is really amazing. So all that said, welcome to the 18th podcast, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend Teona Zak. Now, Teona studied music and business at Berklee College of Music, and what I love about her story is she is genuinely pursuing her desire to be a songwriter and a performing artist. But she also studied business, so she is applying her business degree to doing what she needs to do to build her profile, build her network, and also to have a job to earn an income while she is doing her art and creating music on the side. So I think her example is a really wise one. And she shares her story so openly and authentically in this conversation. So I hope you enjoy learning about Teona, and I honestly highly recommend that you listen to her music. It is brilliant. I mean, I'm a little biased because she is a friend of mine, but I really recommend that you take the time to listen to this episode and then maybe download one of her songs and listen to it in the background, so you can really embrace all that Teona is, because she is a ball of energy and she is so motivated and passionate about what she does and loves sharing her stories and her songs with the world. So thank you so much, Teona, for sharing, and let's jump into the episode. All right. Oh my gosh. So welcome, friend. Thank you so much for doing this. We are in LA, people, right now. I've been in San Diego and then came up to visit my amazing friend and hang out with her and record a podcast. And we are both a little crazy together. So let's see where this goes. So Teona, it's so great to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yay! Okay, so my first question is basically, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I am Teona Zak. I am a singer-songwriter and a recording artist. And I met Nikki actually in Boston. And whoop, whoop, my favorite city till this day. Don't tell my New Yorkers. I went to Berklee College of Music and I studied songwriting and performance with a minor in music business. And then I obviously knew that I wanted to be on the stage. I wanted to be a professional artist. So when I graduated Berklee, I moved out to LA. Craziest thing without seeing it, moved out here, and I have been, I feel like Berklee honed my craft, but I really started developing myself as an artist and really diving into the brand I want to reflect. And that's when I just started really wanting to do it professionally since I moved out here. So I am on all platforms. I sing, songwrite, and right now working on just kind of gigging around and building my brand with that.
That's so cool. Okay, so we met in Boston. You were at Berklee. What made you decide Berklee was the place for you?
I didn't know what Berklee College of Music was. I wanted to do law, and that was only because the way I was raised. My mom was a single mom, and she went back to school, and she was very big on wanting a woman to be independent. She never wanted me to rely on anyone, and I was good at law. I loved law. And so I was doing mock trial. I did we had like a law team too. It was like a minor that you would take in high school. And so I started interning also through mock trial, working with like an attorney. And he saw through that I was performing a lot, doing songs, we had musicals, and I was always just involved in the music scene. So he brought it up to me. He's like, have you ever, you're actually good. Have you ever thought about doing this professionally? Especially because his mind went to, it's better to study 4 years, something that you care about, and then go to law school if you decide to do that. Because you can't go back, you can't go back to music at 60, but you can always go back to law school. And that was his biggest thing. So he's like, you should look into Berklee College of Music. I think it would be really good for you because it's not classical, it's jazz based. I'm like, Berklee College of Music. Okay. Looked into it. And I was like, oh, okay, all the greats went here. You have like John Mayer, Charlie Puth. And I'm like, let me just try. Let me audition. Because at the time they were taking only 10% of singers.
Mhm.
So my oldest brother, Lasha, shout out to Lasha.
We love Lasha. Just got married.
Just got married.
Currently following his honeymoon
I
through
know,
Spain.
he's so cute. I'm like, oh my God, he's such an influencer these days. But he took me to see the school and looked at me and he was like, you can't have 1 foot out, 1 foot in. So what do you want to do? And he really instilled in me also like passion and a dream, because as much as I was scared because of my mom, he was like, I know what it feels like to not go for what you want because of, whether that was, he didn't get to have it where like, loans for him or anything like that he wasn't able to do that, to even try. So he was like, we'll figure it out financially, but I think you should just try. So I auditioned, and when I got in, I found out I got in a bar. I was like crying at a bar, and the bartender's like, is the drink bad? I was like, so I ended up getting in, and it was this back and forth of whether I wanted to do it or not, because there was that fear factor of stability, what I've seen my mom become, and how being a strong woman to her was like being able to, financially support yourself, not relying on anyone. And so I kept going back and forth. Literally remember it like it was yesterday. I prayed about it consistently. And then even though the signs were telling me to go, I was like, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. And it was the last day to tell Berklee if you were going to actually go or not.
Mhm.
And I went to Hillsong, New York, and Josh was preaching. And he was like, oh, guys, like I'm from Boston. I'm like 10 minutes away from Berklee College of Music. And all my friends just kind of turned their heads at me, and I'm
like,
sitting there.
Okay, I get it now.
10 minutes. I'm like, don't look at your friends. Just keep looking straight. Like, don't even look at them right now. And then literally the whole sermon was about like choosing God's plan, like not being scared of God's plan, what he wants for you. And I'm like, my eyes twitching. I'm sitting there sweating. I'm like, oh my, I get it now, but I'm still scared. And so I just kind of was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this. I say this a lot, is the fear of remaining where I was scared me more than actually pursuing what I loved. And even though that scared me, I was like, that staying here is scaring me more. So that's how I kind of got into Berklee. And every year was a new lesson from God, I'll tell you that. But I don't regret it. I do sit here and I'm like, do I? I'm like, no, I loved Berklee.
So Berklee and Boston, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you graduated. Was it 2024 or was it 2023?
2023.
2023. Oh my gosh. I feel so old.
No.
You graduated in 2023. So you've literally been out here 2.5 years now. You've been graduated for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Talk me through the process of like the transition, like finishing up school, the graduation, the final submission. Oh, wow, I'm no longer a student anymore. Now what?
So I think Boston for sure was the hardest goodbye for me, but I knew I had to do it. New York, it wasn't hard for me to leave, but originally I wanted to go to London. I've talked about it for like years. I want to go to London. I want to go to London. And I thought that was what I was going to do after Berklee, especially because I studied abroad and I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I want to do. And my producer and closest best friend, Carson Azell, shout out Carson, he is from LA. And he, even prior to graduation was like, I think you should come to LA because I'm here. That's where he knew he was going to go there. And so he was like, it would be stupid of you to go to like London and you don't know anyone, and who's going to, like, I work with you the most because he does everything and he's on that team with me. And so he's like, you don't know how to record yourself yet by yourself. You don't know how to do these things. It would just make more sense. And it's not as big as, like, moving cross country is a huge transition, but it's not as big. Yeah.
Have a level.
So he was like, I just think, you should do it. And I slowly started realizing like, yeah, like he's right. And I knew after Berklee, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I kept fighting it too. I was like, God, I'm not going to do it. But I'm finding everything that looked stable to me. Like, oh, like there was a job that came up in Arizona for like talent scouting. And I was like set. Like they were like, we want you. You understand how it is to be an artist. And I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. And Carson's like, are you crazy? Like, what is like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, I was like, I can get on a flight to LA. It's like, what, an hour? And he's like, yeah, all the time. So there was opportunities where I was thinking it, but I knew it wasn't the right call. So after Berklee, I said the only way for me to actually do this is to move into a city that, you know, all the networking is there, like everything is there. So I kind of picked a day. In my mind, I said, I know when I'm going to move, I'm just not going to tell anyone, because that process, especially in Boston, everyone had an opinion in different ways. And it wasn't out of hate. Like there's people that would give me their opinion about not going, not because they didn't believe it. They were like, but what about like dental insurance? Like, do you know, they were sitting, it was like random things. And I remember saying, you know, like, God, I need your voice to be the loudest in a room, because everyone is going to have an opinion, whether it's coming from love, but they're not you. And that was the process I was going through, of just trusting what I felt in my gut. And I was like, I need to go. So I kind of chose the date. It was September 7th. And I just came back from Italy, and I was like, all right, I'm moving I knew, I just didn't want to tell anyone, because I was like, it was cross country. And got in the car, did that, and everyone's like, wait, did you just move? I would get DMs. I'm like in Texas. And they're like, wait, why are you like in Texas now? What are you doing in like Utah? Why are you? And I said, well, I'm moving. They're like, for how long? I said, like forever, for a little bit. I don't know. Like, I'm not coming back. I'll tell you that. And so that process was definitely like a fight or flight when I first got here, because I was like trying to get everything together. So I wasn't, you know, what job, apartment, this, that, like getting used to it. It's very different from the East Coast. So yeah, just kind of went right into it. And then it took about 6 months for me to finally be like, okay, this is where I'm here now, you know?
So you moved to LA knowing that that was a place that you wanted to be to pursue your music, but that wasn't necessarily the thing that was going to be the job that you did straight away, right? For money. It was a job that you were going to do to pursue music.
Yes.
But you also needed to survive and pay rent and probably student loans and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So what was the process of like trying to work that side of it out, right? When you know what you're pursuing isn't the thing that's going to necessarily pay the bills initially. How did you navigate all of that?
When I first moved here, there was like an internship that Carson actually got me in the beginning, and I didn't like it. I just didn't feel right. Like I just felt like something was going to go wrong, which, you know, it did. But ironically, through that internship, I found there was a guy that was like, oh, listen, my friend just opened a restaurant. Like, why don't you work for this restaurant while you're doing the internship, just so I know that you just moved here, you need money, like blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, let's do it. Like waitressing to me is so fun. It's like a game. It's like, okay, I'm meeting different people, doing this, doing that. So it didn't bother me. I was like, okay. And I just was like, this is what I have to do for now. And I was still applying, doing things, trying to figure out a way. And I remember in about 2 months of waitressing, I met my current boss, Kezia Riley. She also manages me, but it worked out crazy because I was waitressing for her. And when we met, she heard my accent. At the time, it was much thicker. And she was like, where are you from? And I go, I'm from New York, baby, Staten Island, New York. And she was like, oh, I'm from Boston. I was like, I went to school in Boston, and it like worked right there and then. She's like, what are you doing here? You know, I said, I want to be a singer-songwriter. I was like, I want to be famous. That's the goal. And she goes, I can't make you, but I told her I study music business too. And she's like, I can't make you famous, but I can give you a real girl job right now. And I was like, yes, let's do it. And it started assisting for a very like A-list celebrity and just learning through that. as much as I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, because I knew I didn't want to do that professionally, it worked out because as I start, we're going on 3 years now, and, I've moved up in the way he trusts me and all these things, but I've also seen so much of like the music industry and everything that came into it, like how to be with people, connections through that. He is like just a genius. So to me, it only benefited. And I still say, like, even though I didn't come to LA to do that, it's opened so many doors and also allowed me to be the artist I am and work the way I work and talk to people and connect with people because of where I got, working for him. And I still firmly am like, oh, I'm not leaving anytime soon, because I'm like, I learned so much because of him and I love it.
Right. So it's not necessarily that job is something that you want to do, but you know that it's a stepping stone.
Yes.
That's going to get you there. And you also get to like serve a really amazing human and make his life easier.
He is the best. I will say that. Out of a lot of celebrities, he's amazing.
Yeah, that's so good. I love it. And so on the side of that, I guess, or central to that, as well as having a full-time job and being a boss at that and learning and growing and all of that stuff, you're also pursuing music.
Yes.
So what has that journey been like, having to navigate, because I think a lot of people want to be able to get paid for what they think their purpose is, right? But I think what's really awesome about your story is you're actually really comfortable and okay that that's not where you are yet, and you're trusting the process. So what are some of the kind of challenges or positives? You kind of mentioned the connections, the network or whatever, but what's been some of the things that you've had to give up or something like that as a result of having to do both and being in a hustle season?
That's actually really funny, because especially right now, I keep saying all these like things that it's a lot of balancing. Like I said, the person that I work for, what's really good about it is the balance I'm able to do. So he is international, so that it allows me to kind of, it's very much easier for me to balance the things that like for my career because of how he is. And that's why I'm like, wow, this isn't just for nothing. Like it was, God knew what he was doing. And so as overwhelming as it could be, it's one of the things where I'm like, wow, like I am able to do everything that I came here for because of that. So I've been releasing a lot of, like right now, I released recently an EP, which I'm really proud of. And that was a lot of like finances that went into that. So when you're sacrificing things for music, you're also sacrificing, we talked about this, like social stuff too. Like how I was back in Boston compared to now is a little different, because you have to really be, my favorite word right now is intentional. And
we like this word.
And I have to be intentional with who I give my time, where I put my time, and how I do that. Obviously, with the way I sing, I can't just be like out till 4 a.m. I would like to, but I can't. And it really does take a toll on that. And that when I was doing the EP, I was also, we did like 25 shows last year, just trying to like put me out there. And that's like a lot on the voice, a lot on the body and everything. So it was being intentional with where I was going, who I was spending time with, and also just like what I was consuming in my own way, because of, I also was balancing my second job. But overall, with what I'm doing, I feel very thankful and very just like blessed in a sense that even though there's overwhelming times, it is something that is just like take it day by day, and I'm able to do it. Like I've never been like, I can't handle this. Like I'm very thankful that I'm able to do those things and still put myself out and do all those things through even being his assistant, because I know a lot of people that, do what I do and they're like, oh, we don't have that time. Because some people I know, like they get tired by the time, it comes down to it. They come home and they're like, well, I don't want to write. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Whereas for me, I mean, I've always had a very driven personality. I've been very, very like hustle, grind. In Berklee, it was the same thing. I was getting up at like 5 a.m, going to the gym, then going to classes. From classes, I would work because at TD Garden, and then I would go and record. So it never really changed coming here. It was just, I realized I need to be more intentional, because it socially, like it's easy to get caught up in LA. So that was what I had to learn. But with work, it was always very easy, especially my boss, who's also my manager. She's a blessing in itself because she also is able to help me balance that and kind of be able to put out that music and build myself, build that brand and let people like know who I am while also financially supporting myself through the job that we have.
So good. I love it. I think one of the things that I've been talking about a lot on the podcast with recent graduates is that there's a lot about this transition that doesn't necessarily get talked about or no one tells you how to do it, right? So you're going from a little bit of a bubble at Berklee in Boston, and then all of a sudden you are in a new city with a new job and you're a grown up now, essentially, for lack of a better word. What have been some of the challenges outside of like the career and the profession and the pursuit that have been a struggle?
Oh, I love
Or what's been
this.
really good that you've really enjoyed as well?
I think imposter syndrome is definitely one. The transition is really knowing who you are, especially in the city that I moved to. It's very easy to get caught up in like looks and, social life and all these things. So the hardest thing when it was really kind of, in Berklee, I had those, fears, I had those insecurities, but I was able to really master everything. Like I finally like, oh, okay, I have this. I know who I am because I got comfortable in Boston, and I was like, okay, this is like home to me. But then moving here, it was a different ball game, and then it was relearning and actually owning who you were again, because it's like you don't know anyone. And now also the comparison, I think social media plays a huge role in it too. Like I said, in Berklee, I was honing my craft, but here I was actually like stepping into it and mastering it and becoming the artist I want to be. Just like anything with social media, you're comparing yourself 24/7. And now on top of it, you're comparing yourself physically. Like LA, like I say, is a different ball game because it's so consumed in like the image and, money and like the social life. So you're constantly like sitting there and like these thoughts that run through your mind. It's so hard to sometimes not get caught up in it. So I had to train myself in being like, no, no, no. I'm not going to look at that. I'm not going to think like that. I'm not going to do that, because that was what I was seeing when I first moved here. It wasn't really like, the hustle is easy for me. But then once you're in there, it's being the person you want people to know who you are, like, and not getting caught up in those other things. That was hard because you are constantly seeing the insecurity, seeing all these things. So that was what I noticed was the hardest part after graduating. Because now you're in it.
Right. So being in the environment and in the industry that you want to be in, but being you in that industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
It was definitely like, damn, like, what do I want people to see? And then how do I make it so that I'm not caught up in, I don't want to prove myself to anyone. I just want to come in and like, let me be like, I want you to see who I am through how I speak, how I act, and not be someone I'm not because of what society or what you're comparing yourself wants you to be. And I'm still learning it. It's still hard. It's still like, listen, social media, if I didn't want to be an artist, I would not have it. I don't recommend it. But I'm on it, and it's a lot because you're constantly around it.
Right. And you have to constantly be on and engaging.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a really interesting point. Like, so one of the things, part of the reason that I decided to start the podcast, well, probably not the reason I started the podcast, but one of the things I was working on last year is I actually wrote my first draft of a book. And I think I told you about that. If not,
I did, and I love it. I'm so proud of you.
And so it was a first draft telling my story, and then the idea was to write the story first and then link all of the theoretical stuff and all the theory and like the key lessons in a second write. Well, when I started, once I'd finished the draft, because I was like, look, this could take me 5 years, but it actually was really short once I started writing. And then I was like, all right, well, I need to learn this business right? I need to learn how this works, how this system works. And can you just send like a draft to a publisher and see if they like it? How does the process work and all of that sort of thing? And I learned now, and this is potentially true for creative industry that you're in, that you have to have, it's not like the publisher or the producer or whatever, or whoever you sign with is giving you the audience anymore. They want
Mhm.
you to already have it. So it's
Mhm.
almost like you have to cultivate it
Mhm.
yourself, right? So I was like, look, I want to get this message out there, but I have to have an audience before they'll use their machine on
Yeah.
this story. And so, yeah, what is that kind of what it's like in in your area now as well? Like, has that changed even since like the introduction of AI and all of that sort of thing? How are you keeping on top of it and handling all of that?
I love that question because I think with the music industry, it used to be where you can just send someone a demo, right? You can send a recording label a demo. You could be a nobody. You could have like one follower. But if your talent is there, like that, it was so much, it was easier to like put it out. People were taking it and they can build a star out of that. Whereas now with social media, AI, all these things, they want to see that you're having a following and they want to see that you are profitable. Like it's horrible to say, but that's like how they see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so where that has changed is like now we're in a place where, which is with a lot of industries, is they want to see that you are able to build, like engage an audience, you know?
Right.
And I think one thing that I have learned is, you know, record labels are still able to take someone with 300 followers and make them a star. It's just they need to see that there's something there. And so with me, one thing is a lot of, you know, my team's been pushing me, like, be consistent with what you're putting out. And it's not going to take a day. Like, it takes time of just like consistent posting, consistent like engagement and getting that out and building that audience and like not being scared of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I also think organically and natural, like in a sense of in LA, what I was also seeing is a lot of people, there's ways to like buy followers. There's ways to like, you know, make yourself look like you have all the like 1 million followers. And I remember asking my team, I was like, what are your thoughts on that? And they were like, well, people will know if it's not real because there's a lot of ways to detect that.
Mm-hmm.
And so no one wants fake, because if you're not actually building that engagement, you're not profitable. You're not someone that they're going to want to work with, because they want to see that you're just able to bring people to your brand, bring
Right.
people to your music. So what I, you know, see that social media does play now a huge role, because everyone is looking to see how you're going to build that and how you're kind of like persuading people to believe in you too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's both good and bad, because like I said, back then it was a lot of talent. Now it is that network. Now that is to see how much can you actually build it yourself too.
Right.
But with social media, what I've noticed is if you're consistent and you're constantly doing things, you will grow. It just takes time. Some people it takes overnight. Sometimes it takes 10 years. But if you're consistent, like I started doing, I was so against like shorts on like YouTube. I was like, listen, at the end of the day, I'm a boomer. Like I'm going to say it really easy. I am.
I can vouch for that. Like you're a boomer and a young buddy.
I don't want to like do it. I'm like, just can we go back to the times where they just were like, send me your talent? Like, but it's weird because I am very bubbly and very outgoing, but once you put it's scary to put that out on social media. So I started doing shorts, whatever, on YouTube, because I was like, all right, let me just test this out. And like when I first started, it was like 60 views. And then I started doing it a lot more and a lot more and a lot more. And it went from like 60, I just looked, there's one with like 25K on it, views. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay. And the followings are going up. Like people are like engaging with that. So it will happen. It just takes time. And that is something so important, because people want to see that you're growing and building that.
Right. And you're doing it authentically as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to being like, ooh, look, I've
Yeah.
got 1,000, I've got 1 million followers now. None of them are engaging with me because they're all fake.
But that number's there.
I check the box.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really kind of an interesting point, not just in this industry. When I think everyone now needs to have a personal brand. Like they need to know who they are. I was chatting with one of my former students in the last couple of weeks, and she works for a big consulting firm that literally all of my students would probably die to work at. Right. And so she has taken it upon herself, like, to really help students from Northeastern and universities that she really likes to, like, be interviewing with them and telling them about, like, the organization and what it's like to work there or whatever. And she's like, she called me up and she's like, tell them all to not be boring. Like, tell them all to ask interesting questions. Tell them all to ask not the 5 questions that everybody else asks. Tell them to show their personality, right? So there's a difference. I feel like there was a season where you were able to follow a formula. Right. You were able to follow a formula and go, okay, if I write my cover letter like this, if I put my demo out there like that, if I do these things, I can trick the algorithm. Whereas now, right, all those things have gotten a little bit smarter. There's less available, like less jobs available, but all the people that are in the decision making, like, they want a real human. Like, they want you to show up as you and be like, this is who I am, and this is why I want this job. And this is why I want to do this thing. And I love that you're doing that, and you're not trying to sort of short circuit it. You're, like, doing the hard yard.
Like, hard. I mean, you just said that, and this brings up, like, the funniest thing was when I first moved out here, I was like that. I was very, like, by the rules. Like, I'm Teona Zak, and I'm a singer, and I'm a songwriter, and, like, doing all that. And then whether it was through auditions or, you know, working with brands and stuff like that. Like, right now we were doing, like, PR companies, and you have to, like, show them, like, what's different. And I went through this phase of, like, this was a couple months ago. I remember because on stage, it just comes naturally. Like, I'm able to just, like, you see me as, like, and it's like home to me. But anywhere off the stage was always hard once a camera was on me. Like, I can do it without it, but once like, I feel pressured. And I remember I went through this, it was after my EP was released, and a lot of it was I was planning a lot, and I was like, I need to just be free. Like, just do it. And one of the things that, again, like how you said, like, personality makes sure people see you. I remember getting on an audition. So a lot of people mention, I could say it now, is like there was the voice. And so I've auditioned many times for that, and it's always like right away, no. And I remember just being like, let me just do it for fun and not care. And I got on and I go, I'm Teona Zak and I'm a star. And I'm America's baddie, and I'm going to show you why you want me to be on your show. And I just, like, right after that, just started singing. And I got a call back, and I, like, made it through a lot of rounds with them. And then, like, to me, but it was the first time going through that where I was like, oh my God, like, I just need to be blunt.
I just need to be me.
I just need to be me. Like, I was like, I'm Teona Zak and I'm a star, and I'm going to show you why. And this is, like, it just was so liberating of being like, you just gotta do it. It's okay for people to laugh at you, and, like, even if it's embarrassing, like, if it's not embarrassing, you're not doing it right. Because I think I rather you be embarrassed and trying and building and learning than being stuck in this bubble. It didn't work. So I was like, let me just, like, I literally said to myself, I have nothing to lose. Like, if this is what I want, let me get to that point. Let me do anything that I can. And I knew that I could do it. I knew that I could sit there and be just me. I just have to get that voice out and be like, screw it. Like, let me do it. I don't know if I could say that, but let me do it.
Screw it, let me do it. I like it. You should make that into a t-shirt.
Yeah. Screw it, let me do it.
So good. Oh my gosh. I love it. And I'm so excited for everything that's going to happen in the future. What does that look like for you next couple of years? So you've 3 years out in the real world.
Yeah.
Not that university is not a real world, but it's a different world. You've been out in the real world. What are you hoping for the next few years? What are you working on?
So the first year that I was here, it was definitely learning like kind of fight or flight, like I said. And I went through a vocal injury, so I wasn't performing. I wasn't able to do a lot because of the vocal injury. So then moving into 2024 was when I officially started, like into 2025 was when I officially started, okay, getting back into it, writing. I wrote an EP, I wrote a couple of singles that I released. And so then I was like, what I need to do is gig, like have people really get me into venues, get my name across LA. Like, let's kind of just go into these iconic places and kind of have people see me and build that, audience. And that was what I focused on a lot in those 2 years, and building that, image again, really establishing who Teona Zak is. And then now with all these things, like I said before, I released like an EP, songs and covers, and then I was, doing all those things. We did like 25 shows last year. So then moving into this year, I was like, what I want to do is now bigger venues, opening for artists. So like we're in talks with like kind of branching out. We did a show in Nashville for the first time. That was like not my territory. I was like, I've never been here. I don't know what to do. But it was so good because you want a spider web. So now we're working with a booking team that is also putting my name across different cities like San Diego, San Francisco, New York, Boston, and kind of spider webbing me across like America, because that you don't want to just be in this one city. You want to kind of, you never know where that, audience is going to build you. On top of just the gigging aspect of it and building that, I'm also working on new songs. So I want to do a bunch of singles. My goal for this year is to do 3 singles. And then eventually do an album. But I think right now I want to be as consistent as I can. With everything that's happening, there's definitely a lot of, a lot of people starting to kind of like get me. So I'm like, okay, just keep pushing, keep being consistent and doing all that. And also another thing I said with social media, doing like more content and marketing that. So it's getting into those algorithms, and also people are able to see me. So when the songs come out, how you market them, we have a marketing team that we're also working with now to help kind of enhanced. So it's only, last year was the first time I was like, okay, this is stepping into like, now we're going into the deep end, and we're not in the shallow, and we're like, okay, we're going in deeper, bigger, and hungrier.
Yeah, I love that. That's so exciting. And I love the way you're talking about it, not just as an artist, but you're an entrepreneur as well.
Oh, yes.
Right? Which the music business degree is coming in handy, which is really amazing. But you're actually building a business. The business just happens to be for your art.
Yeah.
Right? Which is really incredible.
Teona Corp, that's what we call it. I have a group chat with Carson and Kezia, Teona Corp.
That is the best. We should definitely get that name.
Let's trademark that. Copyright it now.
Oh my gosh, so fun. But anyway, I want to ask you one final question, and that is, what if you had 2 tips for students that are just about to go through the process or earlier in their career than you? What are some universal things that you would offer them from your experience in your journey?
That's a great question. I think one, honestly, is to be very diligent in the plan that you have. Like just do it. Like, I really believe that, like, have the obedience to be to do the plan that you want to do, because as scary as it is, that's life. And right now you're at an age where you're able to risk it. Like, I have one of my close friends moved to the Netherlands. He didn't know what to do. And I was like, this is the time to do it. So my biggest thing is go full force into what you want and the dreams that you have, because it's the time to do it now compared to regretting it later on. Like, no risk, no story. So I say that's my first advice, is go full force with what you want. Don't let fear stop you from that, because I've seen so many people stop, and I'm like, why? Because if I let fear do that, and I look back in a lot of things, I wouldn't have gone to Berklee. I wouldn't have came here. And there's so many blessings that came through it, and just finding yourself. So first and foremost, go full force. Whatever's calling you, go do it. Whatever job, whatever city, go do it. Love life, go do it. And my second is be true to yourself while doing that, because especially from experience, it's so easy to compare. It's so easy to do all those things, but you need to be organically who you were created to be. And you're your worst enemy, no one else. Like, you're competing with yourself. So be who you are meant to be, not what someone else wants you, and know who you are. Because once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. Like, there's nothing that can go wrong. Like, you see it differently as like rejection is redirection. You start looking at things differently when you know who you are, and you can hone in to what you're meant to do after college. So in the real world, a lot of people out there are going to tell you otherwise. You better know who you are. So, yeah.
That is amazing and a great place to end it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
to
sister.
share and being open, and I cannot wait to hear what people think about your story and what they've learned from you and your wisdom. And I cannot wait to see everything that comes of your diligence and your persistence and your intention and your authenticity.
Thank you.
You needed to get that in there. Why don't you sing us out?
Goodbye, guys. Till next time.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Teona, coming live from LA. It feels like forever ago when I was in LA, but the reality is it was only a couple of weeks. So I hope that Teona's story inspired you, encouraged you. I hope you've had the chance to download some of her songs and take a listen. And I hope the extra context was helpful. And a quick shout out to Nicholas for the feedback. And please let me know if there's anything that I can do to make these podcasts a little bit more useful, a little bit more helpful, or if I see them thread but you don't see it, let me know and I'll try and fill you in. All right, that's it for this week. See you next week.